6 Things You Will Never Do in Heaven. This article is written by Stephanie Hertzenberg. Heaven is going to be a very different place than earth. This may seem obvious, but the idea that there are things you will never do in heaven that you might have enjoyed doing on earth is a very odd one. Heaven is said to be perfect in every way, so why would things that brought you joy during your earthly life be excluded from your life in heaven? The truth is that sometimes people enjoy things that are bad for them. Sugar is excessively unhealthy. That does not stop the average human being from consuming enormous amounts of sugary foods. Sin can be enjoyable. That does not make it less sinful. While there may be a few fun things missing from heaven, there will also be a lack of painful or unpleasant things that people simply expect to encounter on a regular basis during their time on earth. No one likes infuriating or painful experiences, but no one is surprised by the fact that they happen relatively frequently. These things, however, will not occur in heaven at all. So, which pleasant and unpleasant things does the Bible say will no longer take place in heaven? Here are 6 of the numerous things you will never do in heaven. Number 1. Marry or have children. Marriage and child-rearing is a massive part of life on earth. People spend years and enormous amounts of money dating and getting to know other people in the hopes that they will meet their future spouse. Once they do, their life changes dramatically and every decision has to be made with the spouse in mind in some way. The idea of not having the comfort, stability and love found within a marriage can be jarring for those who have become accustomed to having their spouse with them. Being single in heaven, however, is very different from the loneliness that many singles feel on earth. As there is no marriage, there is also no childbearing or rearing. Most people are not surprised by this because those in heaven are no longer among the living, and giving birth is by definition one of the acts of the living. More cynical parents with willfully disobedient children might argue that the lack of child-rearing, and its associated stresses is what makes it heaven in the first place. Number 2. Grieve. One of the best known and popular ideas about heaven is the fact that there is no pain in heaven. There is no sickness, no pain and no death. In short, there is nothing in heaven that could give a person cause to mourn or grieve. Instead, there is endless peace and happiness. Grief is a natural part of earthly life, even if it is one of the least pleasant. The fact that all that lives will one day die means that every person will eventually mourn someone they loved. They will also be mourned in their turn. During that time, grief can consume a person utterly. It can feel like there is no end to it. There is, however, eventually a permanent end to mourning. When people go to heaven, there is no grief. The only tears cried in heaven are tears of happiness or joy. Number 3. Evangelize. Many Christians make it a point to discuss their faith with others. They feel called to evangelize, and they know that the Bible states that it is important for a Christian to share and spread their faith. In heaven, however, there will be no more evangelization. This might seem very strange to some people. Evangelization is a holy activity, so why would it not take place in heaven? The answer is simple. There is no longer any need for it. Evangelization is meant to convert people to Christianity so that they will reach heaven when they die. All those who made it to heaven already did what was necessary. There will no doubt be discussion of and praise for God in heaven, but there will not be true evangelization. It is simply no longer a necessity for the people of heaven. Those in heaven do not need to be taught how to reach salvation because they have already been saved. Number 4. Visit the beach. The beach is one of the most popular destinations for vacations. People in hundreds of countries and dozens of cultures flock to the seaside every year to enjoy a bit of well-deserved rest and relaxation. They enjoy surfing, snorkeling or simply sitting on the sand and listening to the roar of the waves. Many people have imagined that heaven would be like spending an eternity on the beach. In reality, there is no beach in heaven because there is no ocean. Revelation 21 specifically says that there was no longer any sea. The ocean is no more in heaven. To a number of people, this seems like it would be a very sad thing for heaven to be lacking. The sea, however, is associated with chaos, danger and death throughout the Bible. It is a repository for many of the dead and is most commonly spoken of with regards to its dangerous depths, currents and storms. As such, the ocean as it is on earth, as dangerous as it is beautiful, would not exist in heaven. Number 5. Face darkness. In heaven, there is no darkness. The world is filled only with light. The long night has ended, and the sun has risen at last. There is no longer any need to be frightened of what lurks in the shadows. The shadows themselves are gone. Only light and joy remain. The lack of darkness in heaven does not refer only to physical darkness. It also encapsulates more metaphorical shadows as well. The human heart, after all, is filled with the darkness of sin, greed, hatred and violence. Those do not exist in heaven. On earth, there is hatred to harden a person's heart or darken their soul. Instead, there is gratitude and love in heaven. There is not envy or greed in heaven to turn a person's head away. Instead, there is contentment and generosity. Darkness makes its home in every man's heart. In heaven, however, those shadows are banished away. The darkness of the night is thrown out of the pearly gates, as is the darkness of temptation. Number 6. Watch the moon rise. Many a Christian has looked up at the night sky and marveled at God's creation. The innumerable stars make it impossible to imagine that there is not a creator responsible for the beauty of the firmament. Even in cities where light pollution makes it difficult to see the stars, the sight of a full moon or blazing sunset can give people pause and make even the most cynical look at the skies in wonder. In heaven, however, these things will no longer exist. Heaven, it is said, is lit by the pure glory of God. As such, there is no more need for the greater and lesser lights. It seems saddening to think that there will not be sunsets or full moons in heaven, but there is a stunning silver lining. There will be no morning in heaven. As such, whatever replaces the sunsets will be so beautiful that those in heaven will never even miss what they had on earth. Heaven is a place of perfection and complete painlessness. There is no sin. There is not even temptation to sin. Given that some of these sins are quite fun to perform, entry into heaven takes some fleetingly enjoyable activities off the table, but it is more than worth it. No amount of worldly pleasure would ever be worth losing out on the chance to enjoy perfect happiness and oneness with the one who made us all. Thanks for watching. Please consider to subscribe to our channel and like this video. God bless you.